everyone, welcome back on Women Dialogues, the world first channel to talk all about women. First of all, I'm your host, Shashi Girl, wants to say thank you so much, each and every one of you who come, watch, and every time and listen and to learn and to grow and to develop ourselves and making the Women Dialogue mission stronger to create a voice for women. I'm again joining you all with the new episode and diving deeper to grow together. As you know, I always try to bring inspiring and true stories to find a true voice and have our women dialogues. In this journey, today I have with us an extraordinary and inspiring guest, Dr. Celina. She is joining us directly from Massachusetts, United States. She is an emotional health expert. She is an author, entrepreneur, and ambassador of many international organizations. And I still remember meeting and talking her first time 2 years back and finding how passionate she was into her work, and still she is continuing. It's great that she shared her knowledge about emotional health. And it was such an inspiring talk. And since then, I know her. And each time when I connect with her, I get inspired, motivated. And today we will talk about her work and life journey. And I feel I want that the way I've got inspired, motivated, I hope my audiences and all of you will get the same spirit and motivated. That why she feels women dialogues are so important and many more. So let's get started. Welcome, Dr. Celina, on Women Dialogues.
Well, Dr. Sashi, it's very nice to be here with you again, at least on this platform for the first time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been great pleasure to be with you on this platform today. And I still remember while talking to you, as I was mentioning to my audiences, that it was such an inspiring and motivating talk when I did to you about emotional health and all. So, Dr. Selena, tell us about your work and why you decided to become that.
Huh. Well, that's a good question. So it's a long story. I'll tell you a little bit about the story. So, as if you've read my book, Five Keys to Emotional Oneness, the Emotional Detox System, you'll see my story. It runs through um, how we kind of release ourselves from certain toxicities, but in those toxicities lie gifts. So, as a child, I experienced many types of um, sadnesses and some
Mm-hmm.
trauma. And through that walk, I always had a gift of loving to. I was obsessed with staring at people. I love staring at people. But through my walk in life, it was never. I never would think it would turn into something because my walk was very difficult. This was
Mm-hmm.
a walk of falling and getting up, falling and getting up.
Mm-hmm.
So I got up enough times to realize that that walk and the gifts that were laying in that walk were the gifts of becoming a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
So when I decided that I was smart enough to go to college, a friend convinced me, and I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay." I said, I didn't do well in school, so I don't know because I was never present. So we did, and I got an A in my first class. And I was like, oh, I
Wow.
can learn. I was like, oh, I can learn. There was an accounting class, and my father was a businessman,
Right.
and that was his interest. So then I just never stopped. Once I started college, I just kept going. I started late in life, and I just kept going and never stopped. And
Mm-hmm.
then I had my beautiful daughter, Chantal, who's now a physician. And
Mm-hmm.
and that intrigued me and comforted me and it motivated me to want to do more to be a role model for her.
Mm-hmm.
So then I went ahead and continued to work on finishing my doctorate.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know quite what I was going to do then, but I knew that I had to do something that was of interest to me, and my passion was in in therapy. It was in understanding human behavior at that point. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know I was going to go into trauma until later. So at that point, I started into the field of learning how to become a therapist. And
Mm-hmm.
then suddenly someone said, "We're doing this new program at the office. Would you like to be trained?" And I said, "Okay." And it was trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then it all clicked. It all came together
Right.
because I'm a trauma survivor. So
Yeah.
it opened up the doors to all my passion. It created this venue of wanting to really heal people, and it actually grew into my opening my own practice. Did I know
Yeah.
how to do that? It was the same thing. When I got
Yeah.
the A, I kept on going to school. When I got my
Mm-hmm.
first client, I never stopped for 30 years and I'm still practicing.
Yeah.
So that's how I got to this place, was through my walk in life that was already created for me
Right.
and led me through the doors where my gifts were waiting for me.
Yeah,
And here I am.
exactly. Exactly. It's absolutely amazing and inspiring. As I can say, when you are touching the point initially, like fall and get up, fall and get up, it's like connecting the dots about your path. And it's absolutely amazing. So, in current time, the world is going through this global pandemic, which we call COVID, and people are stressed, feeling alone, facing job loss and traumas and all emotional instability. So, as an emotional health expert, what is your advice for coping up or handling such situation with more mindfully or in a proper way?
So, this has become a time for us to not fall down. It's really a time for us to stay up and
Right.
stand up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a time for us to start exploring ourselves, to
Yeah.
start to take time and take place where, who are we? Who's the
Mm-hmm.
authentic me? Who's the
Mm-hmm.
me inside there that's been waiting to show up?
Right.
Who's the me that wanted to create this platform that I never even knew, whether it's art or singing or
Mm-hmm.
dancing or creating a foundation or
Mm-hmm.
becoming a philanthropist, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that? What's that piece in me that I've been wanting to bring to life, but because of life's excursions, I've had to work and I've had to build to pay my bills, to keep my family
Yeah.
together, whatever the
Mm-hmm.
case might be, but always wished I had been able to cultivate this tapestry that lives inside of me. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think this is a time for us for cultivation, for self-cultivation, for looking at what is our tapestry? What are the
Mm-hmm.
gifts that God has given us? What are we
Right.
sitting in and laying on? And
Mm-hmm.
so if we don't continue to look up and stand up, we're going to lay down and be flatlined. And we
Mm-hmm.
can't get there because it is depressing. These are very depressing times. These are
Mm-hmm.
very hard times, especially for people who have experienced traumatic events in their life and never have really gotten treatment for it.
Right.
So this is a time then to find somebody to get you through these places. Find someone
Mm-hmm.
that can help you cultivate, to open you back up to who you are, so you can
Mm-hmm.
recultivate those wonderful things that you are all about, your
Right.
authentic you.
Yeah.
So it's important.
Yeah, but as you said, it's so true and essential. But when you are saying to find someone and to stand up, so we still see there are a lot of stigma about mental health, about the emotional health, or all these kind of work. So during your work, what kind of observation or experiences uh, that you like to bring it on this platform? How we can remove that stigma, or how we can say like these are the observation, we can find it out and understand, yes, this is, and further we can take a course of action.
So, I have dual citizenship. I have citizenship in Cape Verde, West Africa, and the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do my work, when I've begun to do my work in Cape Verde,
Right.
stigma is much greater there, right?
Mm-hmm.
in West Africa than it is in the United States. So I had
Mm-hmm.
to recultivate myself so that
Mm-hmm.
I could enter into conversations with women who are suffering in silence
Yeah.
and who have never told this story and have only
Mm-hmm.
lived under the auspices of being abused because they don't have any way out. And
Mm-hmm.
so my story became one of emotional health. So they again
Mm.
became the ambassador of emotional health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what we do there is we do it culturally. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's important that we look at culture. We have to understand, what do people hear? What's the
Right.
music that rings through their body?
Mm-hmm.
What's their rhythm? And the rhythm
Mm-hmm.
of Capred is that they they love music. So we do healing circles. So we brought it to
Mm-hmm.
them through healing circles.
Yeah.
And in my healing circles, I had one representative of Cape Verde who had experienced trauma and the same type of abuses that these women had faced. And she
Mm-hmm.
spoke her story.
Oh.
Storytelling is the
Mm-hmm.
best way to break through these barriers in any culture, right?
Yeah. This is
Any
powerful. Yeah,
culture.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
universal. It's a universal rhythm. It's a real
Yes.
universal energy,
So true.
storytelling.
Yeah.
And so we did it through music. We included their culture. They put
Mm-hmm.
batucada with the drums, and
Mm-hmm.
we did it through storytelling. And she was also a drummer. She did the drums, this
Okay.
woman, and told her
Mm-hmm.
story in
Mm.
a rhythmic way. So
Mm-hmm.
we created rhythmic healing circles. And so the
Mm.
women didn't feel like they were sitting down and having to listen to something of dread and drudge. They were really creating a new song. They were really creating a new rhythm. And
Mm-hmm.
when she shared her story,
Mm-hmm.
the energy in the room just
Mm-hmm.
highlighted, and everyone wanted to tell their story. Everyone was
Mm.
crying. They wanted to us to stay like forever, and so they can all tell their story. So we're going to go back and
Mm-hmm.
train people to help
Right.
them continue with the process. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to change the rhythm of mental health.
Yeah.
Mental health is seen as significant, like schizophrenia, bipolar. It's seen like
Mm-hmm.
psychosis. It's seen as they see the significance of mental health. We all suffer from emotional health, all of us,
Right.
every single
Right.
one of us. There's not a
Right.
person on this earth that doesn't have some type of interaction with emotional health. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
better story to tell. It's an easier
Yeah.
story to tell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes just losing your bike as a
Mm-hmm.
child, like I
Mm-hmm.
did. And I tell this story all the time because somebody it would be insignificant, but to me it was
Mm-hmm.
an emotionally significant story. So you get the range of emotions
Yeah.
between the stories.
Yeah,
So
it's so
yes, that's
powerful. Exactly. And I feel like creating these rhythmic, emotional stories is kind of powerful and important sometimes because it makes them connect to the things which they are silently suffering from. So that's really amazing, and I think it's really important. But same time, I just would like to ask how or what kind of thing we can pass on to our coming generation for creating these mental health awareness issues, or what way we can make it better.
um I have recently in the last week received about 5 or 6 15-year-olds on my caseload
Mm-hmm.
who are
Mm-hmm.
suffering from anxiety and
Mm-hmm.
depression. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it is because of we have to, it's like, just as we have to know about a culture, we have
Mm-hmm.
to also know about our generation.
Yeah.
So every generation, there's a shift, there's a
Mm-hmm.
change,
Yeah.
there's a different momentum.
Yeah.
And I used to be a dancer, so I speak in rhythms. so, so excuse me for speaking in rhythms, but
Mm-hmm.
so there's a different momentum, and
Mm-hmm.
these younger people are suffering, and they don't have the answers. They don't
Mm.
have the process that we have. They don't have the hindsight
Oh.
that we have, and even many of us who have the hindsight because we have years of knowledge and experience or exposures, we still
Mm-hmm.
can't get through some of this. So it's a matter of us coming together for this generation and helping them
Mm-hmm.
see their gifts, to help them find their socializations in a way that
Mm-hmm.
causes them to have some type of connectivity that feels good for them. What I've been doing with them is I've
Mm-hmm.
been looking at their gifts and helping them to become more, to strengthen themselves through their gifts. And a
Right.
lot of them, surprisingly enough, in this generation that I'm working with right now, want to
Mm-hmm.
be entrepreneurs. They want their own thing. So
Yeah.
creating
Mm-hmm.
a voice for them. Give me a
Mm-hmm.
voice, Dr. Selena. How do
Mm-hmm.
I how do I say who I am today? And the
Mm-hmm.
funny thing about it is this virtual schooling that's going on, even with the younger kids, has
Yeah.
become such a difficult place. We have young children who are going from A's to
Yeah.
F's because
Mm-hmm.
they can't manage the virtual education. Um,
Exactly.
so,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so it's
but
really,
just when you are touching about these, like they are looking for their own voice or creating a voice. Do you find somewhere like there is a social or educational system which needs to think about it or rework on this issue?
of helping others create their voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. No, yeah, absolutely. Because isn't that the issue? Isn't that the problem?
Mm-hmm.
Is that we have been muted.
Right.
Even no matter Dr. Sashi, who we are, Doctor, we've
Mm-hmm.
been muted.
Right.
That's why we have to keep having these conversations about
Exactly.
empowerment and
Mhm.
engagement and having our voice.
Definitely.
It's because
Mm-hmm.
we've been muted. And even though when we think we're unmuted, they mute us back. I mean, and there's so many countries where women still have a voice only for what they want to hear from them.
Mm-hmm.
So and we're getting more powerful. We're speaking up more. We're in more powerful positions. We have a
Mm-hmm.
woman now who's a vice president in the United States,
Yeah.
and I think those are the women like us, and those with the voice, and those who are doing the speaking engagements, and those who are in higher places, the female CEOs or presidents of their organizations or companies or corporations. We need to bring our voices together, because what happens is
Mm-hmm.
you put this platform together so we can have a voice. So we
Exactly.
need
That's so
all of us
true.
to come together in a circle of opening voices, a circle of exposing the wonderfulnesses of who we are, and being transparent. This
Mm-hmm.
doesn't just happen. I always tell my clients, you think that I just walked into the store like this, smart, engaging, and beautiful? It's not about that. This was me coming from this great place and going to school, and everything happened just perfectly. No,
Right.
we all had fall downs and get ups.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us have fall downs and get ups. Even those of us who didn't experience traumas had a fall down and get up. So we have to express that. We need they have a TED talk, but maybe we need a Mary talk. I don't know. But we
Mm-hmm.
need to have some place where our voices are being heard. But you know what it is too, Sasha, Dr. Sasha? It's that we have to lift the value bar.
Yeah.
The value
Mm-hmm.
bar is still not lifted. We're
Mm-hmm.
still expected to do things because we're good-hearted people, because
Right.
we care. But are we
Mm-hmm.
being valued? Am I valuing you
Mm-hmm.
because of you have this platform? Or am I being valued because I'm on your platform? What is the
Mm-hmm.
value bar that we need to be lifted? We need to
Right.
come to a consensus of that
Mm-hmm.
value bar.
Mm-hmm.
What is value being lifted, and when is it being depleted?
Right.
So many times, we're
Mm-hmm.
asked to do things, and people don't understand that, we
Mm-hmm.
have to, especially our young people, we have to
Mm-hmm.
show them that they're
Mm-hmm.
valuable. We can't expect them to always do and not receive a value. Sometimes that
Yeah.
comes in the way of being
Mm-hmm.
financially reimbursed for their time. Or
Right.
sometimes it comes to sending them a gift card for a thank you. You've got
Mm-hmm.
to show people their value. It doesn't come through money, but you've got to lift the value bar.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, you touched here about the value and about the voice, about the entrepreneurship, and a lot of things you touched about that. And same time giving to our new generation. So since I'm aware that you are having your entrepreneurship mind, you run your own business. So having your own organization. So tell us what kind of or challenges or what kind of things we as a young generation or similar mindset people or women has to be prepared for if they are looking for something.
Well, again, I'm from a whole different generation,
Mhm.
and so I think it stays steady that we have to find the pieces in us that we need to, the fragmentations that are in us, the things that are all
Mhm.
broken apart. We need to find how we put them together. That's what my book's about.
Mhm.
Taking the and that's
Mhm.
what I talk about a lot, is the idea
Yeah.
of fragmentations in the unconsciousness, and how we
Yeah.
need to bring the fragmentations together into a oneness and bring it into a consciousness. So we have to research our inner self, our inner culture. Who
Mhm.
am I? Who's my inner?
Yeah.
What really makes me tick? Oh my gosh, I can't wait to finish this. I can go bake, or I can go
Mhm.
continue writing another book, or whatever. What
Right.
is it? And put
Yeah.
that into your organization. My
Mhm.
organization was built by mishap.
Mhm.
My family is an entrepreneurial family, but
Mhm.
I didn't come that route as easily as they did. But I
Mhm.
came that route because they exposed me to it. So I took the
Mhm.
exposure and I took a chance. And when I
Yeah.
took the chance, and if you read my book, you'll see there's a lot of things that were lacking. But when I took the chance, I started
Mhm.
building at that door. I didn't
Right.
build it before that door. I took the
Mhm.
step in. I said, well, let me just step in. And I knew that I had the confidence in my skills, even though I wasn't skilled enough.
Mhm.
But I had the confidence in my learning abilities because I got an A in that accounting class when I had not
Mhm.
hardly gone to school. So I knew that God had given me some gifts that I could depend upon.
Right.
So know what your gifts are. Open the
Yeah.
doors to your inner culture. Realize
Mhm.
and experience and experiment with whom you
Mhm.
are. And then
Yeah.
put that into your organization. So when your organization starts to go down, you have another way to bring it back up. When you start
Right.
seeing things are falling over here, you got some creativity to bring it back together. So
Yeah.
you have to think outside of the box some of the time. That's how I
Mhm.
think. Now, some people are very tunnel vision. They can go straight forward. I'm kind of a waver. So I'll go in
Mhm.
and out. But I have managed to keep this corporation going for
Mhm.
30 years. So I'm doing something
Wow.
right.
That's wonderful. And thank you. Thank you. It's great advice. So just as you was talking about your book, and I would like to let our audience know about your book, The Five Keys of Emotional Oneness and the Emotional Detox Style. Tell us all about what is all about our viewers about this.
So this book came about because I was in Cabo Verde and I could see all of the mental health disparities. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
I can't leave this country without giving them a tool to use for therapy, because I was already well trained in trauma, very,
Mm-hmm.
already had my goals met, whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
I started writing a workbook first.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I will leave this for them to use it to help other people. And then all of a sudden, somebody said, no, you got to write a whole book. This is too good. You got to write a whole book. So I started writing about how toxicities bury us and how they take away from our achieving our successes, our goals, who block,
Mm-hmm.
stop, and flatline us. And I use
Mm-hmm.
block, stop, and flatline throughout my book because it's an indication of how things come at us and
Mm-hmm.
how intensify they intoxify us, and how we
Yeah.
need to clean that out. So I came up with 5 keys. The key one is to cleanse. Key two is to restore, restoration. Key three is clarity, which is the wisdom key. Key four is
Mm-hmm.
rejuvenation, which is the rebirthing key, and transformation. And it's done in a rhythmic way. And it's done, I've written some poetry that's in there too. And so it's a way to kind of unfold ourselves. And it has some EMDR techniques that I've used to incorporate in
Mm-hmm.
my tools.
Mm-hmm.
It has relaxation techniques built in, so it's got a lot of tools built into one tool.
Right.
So yeah, and it's on Amazon, and
Mhm.
it's an international bestseller.
Wow, that's beautiful, and I think that's like very much on point or very much on time because people really need such kind of books or techniques to know about and to make their life fulfilled and empower themselves when the world is in depression, things are looking towards dark side. So it's empowering title and as well as your work is great. So, and do you think in current scenario, uh, these techniques in a rhythmic way, or what other way they have to empower or to go with, as you
I'm sorry.
mentioned? You
Can you
mentioned
repeat?
your 5 techniques in your book. So
Mhm.
there's technique. Do you think the same process or same in rhythm is suited for in current scenario, or always, or it should be different?
Should it always be in that same?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I always have people go with their processes.
Mhm.
What is your process? Because
Mhm.
that's I set up a toolbox for you, but you have
Yeah.
to figure out how you need to use it.
Mm-hmm.
It would be good to use it in that process, but
Mm-hmm.
if you, I have another preliminary one that I've just created, two more workbooks I've just created, and a curriculum. I've created trainers to
Right.
train optimizers, which are like
Mm-hmm.
coaches, and to train
Mm-hmm.
people who just want to use the system. So we
Mm-hmm.
let them start where they need to start, where
Mm-hmm.
they need to show up for themselves today,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Right. So that's outstanding, and I think that's a phenomenon that the work is there, and just people just need to see and just as to adapt what they're best suited for them. So as well as I just would like to ask about what other next your future plans about your work and to coming generation for as a mental health expert. What kind of thing are you looking for?
Well, I'm looking to probably do some trainings. I'm doing a lot of work right now with some with pastors actually,
Mhm.
because pastors suffer a lot of trauma, and
Right.
so we're doing a lot of work with them. But I'm looking at doing a
Mhm.
lot of more webinars and trainings, and trying to
Mhm.
create more coaches, emotional health coaches,
Mhm.
who would be, I'm calling emotional health optimizers,
Mhm.
to optimize emotional freedom. And that's what
Right.
my and I'm doing lots of retreats this year.
Mhm.
I had them scheduled for last year, but of course we couldn't because of COVID. But so there'll be at least 3 or 4 retreats scheduled for this
Mhm.
year. But I'm just having to wait for COVID to
Mhm.
pass. I'll get
Yeah,
better.
that's yeah, definitely it would get better slowly, gradually. But just in what way do you think it is crucial to develop similar kind of work for women leaders and to have more women dialogues in similar way?
You
Like,
know, we really need to continue to communicate, but not in a fragmented way. We need to communicate in, I mean, and I shouldn't say that because there's many women who have their own groups. But if there's a way to, I always have this vision of everyone holding hands across the globe, you know, and I think,
beautiful, beautiful. That's so beautiful.
us all having a voice and holding hands across the globe. And that circle just gets wider and wider, or smaller and smaller. And there's just all these women that have their voice lifted across the globe. And I know there's organizations like Female Wave of Change that's doing that, and platforms like this that's creating that. But it would be so nice to be able to have one big, huge woman conference that we could just, I don't know. And I know that's happening in different scenarios, and this may be a little bit too big, but yeah, we just need to continue to bring our voices across the globe.
And I think it's so essential, and the way you express in a beautiful way, it's so valuable. And in current scenario, when we are talking about that, we have our Vice President Kamala Harris. So it is a kind of again creating a new wave for women to give them voice. And which they have energy, they have passion, they have knowledge, they have wisdom, but they are not able to create that voice for themselves and for others. So I think
Yeah,
it's kind of essential to create such kind of women dialogues. That is so
exactly.
well said and very beautifully way you explained. So thank you so much, Dr. Celina, for sharing your wisdom with us. And it's been great privilege to be with you. But
Thank you so
before finishing up today's session, uh, I just would like to ask to give a message to our viewers and to our younger generation to learn from your experiences and practice.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
What
sorry.
I just asked like what one message would you like to give to our viewers or younger generation to learn from your experiences and practice?
To look a little deeper within. Look,
Mm-hmm.
look into who you are. Show
Mm-hmm.
up as who you are. Because whenever we show up as how they want us to show up, we're not showing up at all because they can't see our innate gifts that we have. And we can't tap into those gifts if we're creating our flow from somebody else's rhythm. We have to create our own rhythm. We can learn and input. We can create, we can take and keep what works for us and complements our rhythm. But many times people want to change our rhythm. They want us to do things, and that's okay if it's growing our rhythm. So look at your value. Look at your value. Does this value me?
Mm-hmm.
This is considering you have a healthy value system and belief system. And look into
Mm-hmm.
your belief system, look into your value system, and
Mm-hmm.
create who you are. And we have to still do what we have to do to survive in this world. Granted, we can't be who we want to be just because it's more pleasurable for us. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to somehow keep that value system up front in your core, your belief system in your core. You have to be in touch with your rhythm. You have to be in touch with the things that really create your flow, your movement, your ballerina your waltz, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You have to feel that. It has to be all around you. And if it
Yeah.
doesn't do anything else, but help you to get more
Mm-hmm.
settled and into yourself, and even though you may be working a job like, oh, I don't want to go to this job today, it may be I can't wait to get home so I can create that balance again. I can go home and
Mm-hmm.
write that book or write that next sonnet or write that next poetry or create a new game with me and my children. So create whatever it is, and sometimes that turns into your tomorrow. That can
Wow.
create your tomorrow.
Yeah.
So always recreate you. Always look into your inner culture.
Wow, that's so deep. Create your have your values, believe, and have your rhythm. That's like rhythmic, and I love that. It's beautiful and powerful. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you once again. Thank you, Dr. Salinas. Thank you
Thank you.
so much, and I'm so grateful for being with you today and on having you on this platform.
Thank
So
you. Thank you
thank
for
you.
having me. Appreciate it.
And thank you all the audiences and listeners for watching and listening. And I'll see you again in the next episode on Women Dialogues. For more information, please check the details in the description below. And if you would like to get connected with Dr. Selena and her work, the links are available in the description below as well.